Chapter 24. Jarlan the Priest and a Succubus. In the morning, the party met with Jarlan the Priest and his two acolytes. Jarlan was wearing plate mail and carried a shield, with a mace at his side. The two acolytes wore chainmail and also had a shield and a mace. They all looked quite impressive, which only made everyone else feel even more confident. They started to head out, but as they passed by the store owned by Marcus and Margaret, they noticed several people inside, all standing around by the chainmail that was on display. Jarlan, seeing the sign with the price of 300 silver. That's how merchants drive up the price of items. Just claim it was worn by a chieftain or some other powerful creature. Works every time. Lightmane. Except in this case, it's true, for we sold that armor to Marcus yesterday, after we came back from killing a goblin chieftain who was wearing it. The two acolytes looked at Jarlan, clearly surprised at what they just heard. Jarlan, also looking quite surprised. You killed a goblin chieftain? Impressive. Shinfia. Well, actually, Jack here was the one who dealt the killing blow, slitting its neck. Jarlan, now even more surprised. The wizard? You killed him? Jack. Well, I was the last one to hit him, which just happened to kill him. Lucky me. But now we're headed for the kobold cave. Jarlan, surprised again. You know there is a kobold cave? You all seem to have acquired some good information. Mind telling me who gave it to you? The more contacts I have, the better. Latia, not wanting to reveal knowledge of Tico. We are currently not at liberty to say, but perhaps things will change at some point. Jarlan, very well. Well, I hope to eventually meet this person, or people, who have so helped you. The party made their way out of the keep and down the rocky roads south, and then turned left onto the east road. Belfin. Well, everyone, I'm pleased to let you all know that I've achieved the third progression. I'm quite excited, though I will have nothing to do with these horrible titles that were given, until, of course, I become a master rogue at the 9th progression one day. Tenneth. That's great. Rogues do tend to progress at their craft quicker than most. What is the title that you so dislike, by the way? Belfin. You ready for this? Cut purse. Why would anyone, other than a thief, want to be referred to as a cut purse? I'm considering coming up with new titles for rogue progressions, because these were clearly given by those who think we're nothing more than thieves. How about locksmith, or trap finder, or trap setter, for that matter? How about silent walker? Or here's one that I came up with that I really like, shadow blender. Tenneth. Shadow blender? Belfin. Yes, because we can blend in with the shadows. Tenneth. Okay, that's 5, plus master rogue at 9th. Just 3 more to go. Belfin. Nope, just 1 more. The first progression is called a rogue, and the second is a footpad. I think footpad should be first, and rogue should be the title at 8th progression. So rogue at the 8th and then master rogue at 9th. That makes more sense to me. Phileas. I agree. I like your titles much better. So what would be the order you'd put them in? Belfin. Thinking. Footpad, locksmith, trap finder, trap setter, silent walker, shadow blender, rogue, and finally master rogue. Just need 1 more title. Phileas. Well, once you've got all 9, then all we need to do is figure out who these people are who make these titles official. Tenneth. Maybe it's just us who do. Maybe it's just people talking who came up with them over time. Phileas. Wall climber. How does that sound? Belfin. Well, it's better than cut purse, he said, smiling, to which everyone laughed. As they walked, they paid very close attention to both sides of the road. For while the attacks on the east road mostly came from the north, at least they now assumed they did, knowing where the valley was, they feared the stories of lizardmen and giant crocodiles in the swamps by the river. Then there was that small, long hill further east that they'd yet to explore. Latia. I think bandits could be hiding in that hill somewhere. Seems like a good place to camp. But right now, all I want to do is get to that valley again, and arrows flew over their heads from their left. They could make out some creatures in the woods, but weren't sure what they were, as it was hard to see them. But Lightmane saw them. Lightmane. Orcs, 6 at least. They were too far away to cast sleep, though, and the orcs were spread out in the woods, too. Sleep only affected creatures in a 30-foot diameter. The orcs fired more arrows as the party readied some of their own. Latia cast her earth bow and then readied her own bow. Shinfia had her bow ready and fired an arrow, but it hit a tree. Lightmane fired and just clipped one in its side. Tenneth started casting Bless, since they were too far away to be affected by his curse spell. Jarlan and the two acolytes moved toward the orcs. Tenneth's Bless spell went off, making all their attacks a little better. Nightwind: What are you three doing? Are you trying to get killed? Jarlan, looking back: We will draw them in. Then you all come around and attack them from over there, pointing to his right. Jack was waiting for them to get closer so he could cast Sleep or Magic Missile. So for now, he protected himself as best he could with his wooden shield, but one of the orc's arrows found his flesh anyway. Fortunately, the damage wasn't bad, but if he was casting the spell, it would have been disrupted. Another arrow hit Nightwind in his leg. All the rest were wildly off target, mostly due to the distance, as they were around 100 feet away. Phileas and Belfin tried to find a good place to hide and attack by surprise, as everyone else moved up to the right of the clerics, assuming that's what Jarlan meant when he said to come around. Jarlan turned sideways and started casting a spell, while the two acolytes each pulled out a scroll and started casting a spell from it. Latia fired her bow, but they had too much cover from the trees. She waited on firing her earth bow until she had a better shot, since it only fired 4 times and then the spell ended. The acolytes were now chanting together, and immediately everyone felt a little off, a little dizzy, a little disoriented. Latia: What's going on? What's happening? Jarlan let out a wail. All of a sudden, the orcs started charging the party. Lightmane, Nightwind, and Tenneth, though they didn't feel quite right, still moved up to engage them in melee, while Latia fired her bow, missing again, but her earth bow hit one pretty good in the side. Belfin and Phileas, also not feeling quite right, were now out of sight, and were going to move to attack the orcs from behind when they saw that Jack and Shinfia were not moving. They wanted to cry out to let everyone know, but they also didn't want to give away their position, so they waited. The orcs wore what looked similar to scale armor, and they also had shields and longswords. Crappy-looking longswords, but still longswords. They were as tall as humans, with ugly, pig-like faces. Latia crying out, "Jack, cast Sleep!" Just then a hammer appeared in mid-air, floating next to Jarlan. The orcs were now between the clerics and the party, so Latia assumed that Jarlan was now going to attack them with his hammer from behind them, though she wondered why the orcs ignored the clerics and all went after the party instead. She figured it might have something to do with the chanting from the two acolytes. The elf, cleric, and dwarf each had 2 orcs on them, and 2 were running at Latia, who dropped her bow and grabbed her longsword, but her earth bow fired and hit the orc again, dropping it. Lightmane swung his sword at one, but the orc blocked it with his shield and swung his sword and hit Lightmane in his side, while the other orc just barely missed him. Luckily, the damage wasn't severe. Nightwind's attack also was blocked by the orc's shield, but fortunately for him, his axe blocked the orc's attack as well, but just barely. But the other orc slashed him across his body, but his armor absorbed some of it. Tenneth's mace connected and hit the orc pretty good in its side, but the orc attacked back and hit Tenneth pretty good in his side. Everyone was a little surprised at how much better these orcs seemed than the goblins. They heard that orcs were tougher, but they weren't expecting this. Just when panic started to set in, things only got worse. The hammer that was floating next to Jarlan flew at Lightmane, hitting him square in the chest. Somehow he managed to stay up. Jarlan crying out again, "You all may have killed our goblin chieftain, but you are no match for the priests of Talona. We will strike you all down." Panic and fear spread throughout the party. They had no idea who this Talona was, but seeing the clerics on the orc's side infuriated them greatly. They couldn't believe that he had somehow deceived them and was the enemy. Also, except for Belfin and Phileas, no one knew what had happened to Jack and Shinfia, for they weren't in their line of sight. Latia, seeing what just happened, looked at Jarlan and had her earthbow fire at him, but it hit his plate armor and bounced off. She slashed at the orc, but he easily blocked it with his shield and swung his longsword at her, and it cut into her, but only for a little. Nightwind finally hit one of the orcs, but one of them hit him too. But again, the damage wasn't severe. Tenneth's mace was blocked again, and one of the orcs cut into him with his sword pretty good. Tenneth wasn't in good shape now, but couldn't flee, so he fought on. Jarlan, in a frenzy now, "You will all die, and our temple shall soon rule over all who dwell in the keep. Your death will be my finest hour." Just then, to Jarlan's shock, fire burned him and his 2 acolytes, just as a sword cut into his back. The acolytes' chanting ceased, and immediately everyone felt better. Jarlan, badly wounded now, let out a scream and whipped around. Seeing the halfling and the gnome before him, he cried out and attacked with his mace. His mace hit Belfin, but the damage wasn't that bad, as the halfling was able to maneuver just enough to lessen the damage. His improved skills were clearly coming in handy, as were everyone else's. Belfin attacked back, but his sword just clanged off the plate mail. Lightmane's sword cut into the orc, and it fell. The other orc on him swung back, but he easily avoided it. Tenneth's mace smashed into the orc's head, dropping him, as the other orc's sword clanged off his armor. Nightwind dropped one of the orcs on him, but the other orc's sword cut into his side, and he too now was just barely hanging on. 4 orcs were still fighting, one on Latia, Tenneth, Lightmane, and Nightwind, while Belfin and Phileas were now facing down the 3 badly wounded clerics. Latia didn't want to risk firing her earthbow at the clerics, though, for fear of it accidentally hitting Phileas or Belfin. They were small targets, but she still didn't want to risk it. She attacked the orc on her with her sword, though, slashing across its body, dropping it. Jarlan attacked Belfin again, and again his mace connected, but again Belfin was able to maneuver himself just enough to lessen the damage somewhat. But he wasn't looking good now either. The acolytes attacked Phileas. One of them hit him with his mace, but Phileas then struck back with his short sword, and it ripped into the acolyte's side, and he fell. Tenneth and the orc on him both had their attacks glance off each other, but Lightmane's sword found the orc this time, and it cut into it deep, and the orc fell. Jarlan, "You're no match for me, halfling. Prepare to die." Jarlan was all set to swing when an arrow plunged into his back, and he fell, just as Phileas slashed the other badly wounded acolyte with his short sword, and he also fell. Belfin looked up and saw Latia with her earthbow floating next to her, just as it faded out. She took the risk, and it obviously paid off. The 2 remaining orcs turned to flee. Tenneth hit his as it fled. Nightwind hit his, but both, while badly wounded, were still fleeing. Latia fired her bow, killing one, and Belfin and Phileas threw their daggers. Belfin's dagger missed, but Phileas's dagger hit the orc square in the back, and it fell. Just then, everyone saw that Jack and Shinfia were not moving, and came over to them, while Tenneth cast his 2 Cure Light Wound spells on Lightmane and Nightwind. Tenneth, "I can't believe he was on their side. I'm just shocked. We should have listened to you, Lightmane. You didn't trust him. You saw through it. We didn't." Lightmane, "I didn't see anything. I just didn't particularly like him. But the next time we saw him, he seemed okay, so I didn't think twice about it. Like you said, 3 more clerics meant a lot more healing spells, and we could really use a lot of healing right about now." Fortunately for the party, a few minutes later, and both Jack and Shinfia were able to move again. The feeling of being completely held motionless like that was quite terrifying for both of them. Jack, "I thought I was going to die for sure, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't move. My heart was still beating, but my body couldn't move." To Shinfia, "What Jack said. I've never been so scared in all my life. What was that?" Tenneth, "Pretty sure that Jarlan cast a hold person spell on you two, and I think the acolytes cast a chant spell off of a scroll. Hold person is a spell that I'll be able to cast too when I achieve the 3rd progression, which hopefully won't be too long from now. Here's hoping. With that chant spell, though, 1 cleric can cast it, but it's more powerful with 2 or more. The more clerics that chant, the more powerful it works. It's like a bless and a curse combined, but they can't do anything else while they chant, so clerics usually don't pray for it. But on a scroll, that's another matter, if you have 2 or more clerics. No wonder those orcs were beating us so badly. At least now we know why we felt the way we did. Good thing Jarlan never saw you 2 coming, or I don't know if any of us are alive right now. Tenneth, seeing 2 holy symbols around Jarlan's neck. Look at this, guys. 2 holy symbols. I'm guessing this one is the holy symbol of Suez, and this one here must be Talona's. He must have kept it hidden in his armor somehow. The holy symbol of Suez was a picture of a dark greenish-colored tree with a bright yellowish-colored lightning bolt overhead, which looked quite beautiful. The holy symbol of Talona was a dark purple-colored triangle shape with 3 dark yellow-colored teardrops on it, which looked dark and foreboding. Tenneth had never seen either, but it was clear to him, since he was a cleric, that they were both holy symbols. Belfin. Hitting him in the back was a lot easier than trying to hit him in the front. Plate armor and a shield is not something I want to fight against anymore. That was some serious protection. Good thing your earthbow had 1 final shot left. Latia. I almost didn't fire it. I was scared if I missed him, I might hit one of you 2. I wasn't going to do it, but then I felt I just had to. Glad it connected. It seemed to hit the orcs pretty good too, though, unlike all of us. Tenneth, do you think my earthbow spell wasn't affected by their chanting? Tenneth, I think you're right. Either that, or maybe you just got some lucky attacks in. I'll have access to chant too at the 3rd progression, so I'll know more about that spell then. But now I say we search the bodies and then either rest here or go back to the keep maybe? What do you all think? Latia. Let's see what we got and then we'll make that decision. The party searched the orcs and the clerics. The orcs only had copper coins, 62 total, but the clerics had a lot more. In addition to their armor and shield and mace, each acolyte wore a gold chain, while one had 36 copper pieces and 18 silver pieces, and the other had 38 copper pieces and 22 silver pieces. Jarlan, though, had a lot more than both of them combined. In addition to his plate mail and shield and mace, he also had a gold chain, but it had a bloodstone gem in it, and in his large belt pouch was 182 copper coins, 178 silver pieces, 9 gold pieces, 3 platinum pieces, and a jeweled clasp, along with a scroll that had 2 spells on it, Hold Person and Silence 15-foot radius. Latia. 9 gold coins and 3 platinum ones? Okay, yeah, we're going back to the keep. Should we try to hide somewhere first and rest and heal up some more, or just try to get back now? What are we, about a mile from the keep? I say we go for it. Seems riskier to rest outside and risk another encounter. Jack. Well, we've got our sleep spells if we need them, but yeah, let's head back now, since it's only a mile or so away. Lightmane. Note to self. Next time orcs attack us, just cast sleep, once they're in range. Honestly, I didn't think we needed to worry about 8 orcs with a priest and 2 acolytes with us. I try not to use spells unless we really need to. Better to save them when we can. Phileas. Hey, can I hold one of those platinum coins? I've never had one in my possession before. So this 1 platinum coin is equal to 50 silver. Wow, we really do like our shiny coins, don't we? Latia. Well, we did find some at the moat house, but only rich people deal in platinum coins, right? So we're rich now, right? She said, smiling, as did everyone else. Lightmane decided to cast Detect Magic, just to check. Seeing all these fancy-looking items, and Jarlan's mace had a faint magical aura, and everyone just got more excited. They all wanted Tenneth to get the mace, while Tenneth thought they should try to sell it. But for now it was his, and he was quite ecstatic to have it. The badly wounded party limped back to the keep. They couldn't carry 3 suits of armor, but they were able to carry the plate mail and left the chainmail on the acolytes. Lightmane, speaking to Tenneth. His plate mail would fit you, you know. Tenneth. It's tempting, but I don't like getting all the upgrades. Besides, banded armor gives me more maneuverability, which I like, so let's sell it. We can always use more money. Too bad we can't carry the chainmail too. Shinfia. How about we see if we can buy a wheelbarrow maybe and hire 2 henchmen to wheel it around? Maybe they can help us by fighting alongside us too. Lightmane. Marcus had one for sale in his store. Let's get it. We'd be bringing back 3 suits of armor right now if we had one. Maybe they'll still be there when we come back later. Latia. So Jarlan wasn't a priest of... What was the name of that god again? Teneth. Suez. I've heard of him, but don't know much about him, other than he's committed to the total destruction of evil. That's all I know. So Jarlan pretended to be something he's not, to get a party to let him join. He said something about their temple destroying the keep. I didn't see any temple in the valley, unless, of course, it's in one of the caves underground, but that seems kind of odd, doesn't it? Perhaps it's somewhere close by. Latia. Or perhaps the rumor we heard that there's a temple in one of the caves is true. Maybe the cave in the back of the valley that Tico spoke of is a temple of Talona, whoever that is. Why don't you go to the temple at the keep and see what they know about Talona? Teneth. Will do. Let's head back now and rest there and just hope nothing else attacks us on the road. It's not that far though, so here's hoping. Fortunately for the party, nothing else attacked them on the road, and they made it back to the keep fairly quickly. Marcus sold them a wheelbarrow and had more good news for them. Marcus. It's sold for 300. Sold it just about an hour ago. He was a merchant, and he thinks he can get 400 for it, maybe even 5. I told him I hope he does, but if he does, and he's still here, to let me know, and we'll celebrate our good fortune together. He liked that. So here's your cut, 50 silver pieces. Hopefully now you all know that you can trust us, since I could have easily told you that I only got 200 for it. Nightwind. Yeah, and you could have also sold it for 400, but said you just got 3. Marcus, looking at Nightwind, who kept a straight face, but then started laughing. Okay, you got me. Leave it to a dwarf. So I see you have some more armor here, and some other items. And some other items? Did you kill another chieftain already? People are now saying there's more chieftains in the valley. And I'm like, how do these people know this? Rumors. Gotta love how they fly sometimes, he said, laughing. Belfin. This armor belonged to Jarlan the priest. He attacked us when orcs attacked us. He called himself a priest of Talona. Any idea who that is? Marcus. No clue. Never heard of Talona. Maybe someone at the temple will know who she or it is. Who's Jarlan, by the way? Teneth. We're heading to the temple next. Jarlan was staying here at the keep, in one of the private apartments that they rent out. He said he was a priest of Suez, and that he knew where the valley was and wanted to join us, to help. So he did. Then he attacked us. Marcus. Wow, that's crazy. Well, I'm glad I never met him. Hey, why don't we do this? How about I make another sign, saying this armor was worn by a priest of... What did you say his name was? Belfin. Talona. Marcus. Talona. Okay. How about I see what I can get for it, and we split it 60-40, since I'm the one doing the selling. Does that seem fair? The party agreed. Marcus offered them 150 for the 3 gold chains and the jeweled clasp. They countered by saying, why not just sell these at 60-40 too? But Marcus said he preferred to buy these and just sell one item at a time like that, which they also understood and agreed to. But now they needed to rest and heal, and since they could afford it, they decided to rent one of the private apartments themselves. The furnishings were very nice. 8 people in one apartment was crowded, but they made it work. A few hours of rest, and Teneth and Latia cast their healing spells, and everyone felt much better. They wanted to wait some more to get their spells back in full force before heading back to the Valley of Caves. So while the cleric and druid spent some more time resting and meditating, the rest went to the tavern to eat some good food, and there they found 2 henchmen for hire, John and Bill. They were your typical men for hire, dressed in leather armor and carrying short swords and daggers. They appeared to be trustworthy men, so they offered them 3 silver pieces per day each. John. How about an equal share of treasure too, for both of us? Jack. How about no? Shinfia, smiling at Jack. What Jack means is you're not official members of this party. You just work for us, pushing our wheelbarrow and helping us in battles. If you prove your worth in battle, and we find treasure, we will consider cutting you in a small portion in addition to your guaranteed pay. That's the best we can offer you. Take it or leave it. They took it. They heard people in the tavern talking about the chainmail that Marcus sold that was worn by a goblin chieftain, and found it quite entertaining to hear stories and rumors that involved them. But once Tenneth and Latia had their spells back, they all went to the Temple of Alana in the keep. An acolyte, upon seeing them enter, "Hello, welcome to Ilana's temple. How may I assist you?" Tenneth, "Hello, sir. We are adventurers, and we're here for a few reasons. Are any of the clerics here available for hire?" Tenneth, seeing the party looking at him curiously, "We might as well inquire." Acolyte, "Yes. The cost to hire a cleric is 6 silver pieces per day for an acolyte like myself, 9 for an adept, and 12 for a priest, assuming one of us is interested in going adventuring. In addition to those costs, we ask only for a very small third of a share of the treasure, as opposed to a normal share. However, we would also need you to purchase a suit of chainmail or banded armor for us." Tenneth, surprised by the costs, "Okay then, so that's a no for now. What potions do you all have for sale here? What potions do you all have here for sale, and how much do you charge?" Acolyte, "Our list of potions and prices are listed right over here on our board for your easy convenience. Are you in need of healing?" Tenneth, sounding somewhat sarcastic, "When aren't we?" "Thanks, we'll check that board in a sec. Last question. Do you know anything about a deity called Talona? Oh, and Suez too. Might as well see what they know," he said to the party. Acolyte, "I will have to check with our curate, and then one of us will return shortly and let you know." The acolyte turned and walked over to a group of clerics at the other end of the temple. The party walked over to the price list. Tenneth, "Oh look, they include their prices for healing too." The board read as follows: Price for healings, the casting of a spell or scroll, and the number of scrolls that we currently have. 9 Cure Light Wounds, 30 silver pieces. 6 Cure Moderate Wounds, 50 silver pieces. 5 Cure Serious Wounds, 75 silver pieces. 3 Cure Critical Wounds, 100 silver pieces. 4 Cure Disease, 300 silver pieces. 2 Cure Blindness or Deafness, 400 silver pieces. 3 Neutralize Poison, 500 silver pieces. 1 Heal, 1,000 silver pieces, scroll only. 1 Raise Dead, 5,000 silver pieces, scroll only. 1 Resurrection, 10,000 silver pieces, scroll only. The temple currently has the following number of potions and scrolls for sale: 37 potions of healing, 100 silver pieces each. 21 potions of extra healing, 250 silver pieces each. 7 potions of neutralize poison, 400 silver pieces each. 5 potions of fire resistance, 300 silver pieces each. 5 potions of strength, 200 silver pieces each. 6 scrolls of 7 level 1 spells, 500 silver pieces each. 3 scrolls of 7 level 2 spells, 1,000 silver pieces each. 3 scrolls of 7 level 3 spells, 1,500 silver pieces each. 2 scrolls of 7 level 4 spells, 2,000 silver pieces each. Latia, "Wow, that's a lot of scrolls and potions they have for sale, and look at how much they charge to cast cure spells. What's this? Heal 1,000, scroll only? My druid healing spells that I'll be able to cast one day are called heal. What kind of heal spell is this? It must be very powerful, yes?" Tenneth, "Yes. I think it's like a level 5 or 6 spell. I'm told it will completely heal someone, and not just their wounds, but everything, disease, poison, and more. I'm told it can even restore someone who's lost their mind. I can't imagine having that kind of power at my disposal." Latia, "Sounds almost too good to be true. So there's also spells that can raise people from the dead? 5,000 for raise dead, but 10,000 for resurrection? What's the difference?" Tenneth, "No clue. They have 37 potions of healing, though, for 100 silver pieces each. 250 for extra healing potions? I didn't know there were 2 types of healing potions. Look, they have 7 potions of neutralized poison for 400. It's all so expensive, but I think we should buy a couple of healing potions, or maybe 3 or 4? If we were attacked on the road coming back here, I didn't like our chances." Latia, Agreed. It's a lot of money, but I think we can afford 2 for now. Everyone agreed. John. Hello, everyone. My name is John. I am the curate here at the temple. I'm told you are seeking knowledge about deities named Suez and Telona, yes? May I ask why? Tenneth. Hello, John. I am Tenneth. Tenneth introduced everyone else. We are adventurers, and we were recently joined by a priest of Suez, along with 2 acolytes. But it turned out that he was actually a priest of Telona, a deity that I've never heard of. Suez I've heard of, but know almost nothing about. We were just wondering if anyone here did. John. I can certainly help you with that. I ask, though, that you would make a small donation of 10 silver pieces to the temple. Without people's generous donations, and you adventurers buying our scrolls and potions and paying for our healings, all this temple would be is a group of clerics who tended to the sick and wounded in the keep, and nothing more. We most certainly would not have a llama here to make scrolls and potions. Latia. 10 silver pieces is a small donation? And I'm sorry, but did you just say llama? Tenneth. I believe Lama is the title for a cleric who has achieved the 7th progression? John. Yes, Ben is the head cleric here, and he alone has the ability to make all these items. We are all very grateful that he is here to serve all who are in need, and yes, I consider 10 silver pieces to be a small donation for information on 2 deities that you clearly are seeking. Latia to Belfin. So about those titles you took issue with. Llama? She said, smiling. That's an animal. What an odd title for a cleric, she said, laughing. Belfin. Still better than cutpurse, thief, robber, burglar, and filcher. It's ridiculous, and it's going to change if I have anything to say about it. Tenneth, handing him 10 silver pieces. So what can you tell us? Oh, here are their holy symbols. We'll sell them if you are interested. John. Why, thank you. Your donation is greatly appreciated. I can offer you 1 silver piece for the holy symbol of Suez, but I will pay you 3 for Telona's. Tenneth, looking to the party for approval. Done. John. Excellent. Fortunately, I know a little about both deities. Suez is a human deity and is called the great god of beauty, power, and glory. Some of his followers have claimed that Suez is the ruler of all the gods in Forestera, but many disagree with that claim. But it has been said that some of his most fanatical followers believe that once all evil has been vanquished from the land, that in that day all in Forestera will worship Suez. But how could good exist without evil, and vice versa? So most of us rational thinking folk don't believe such a day will ever come. All who are good, though, are said to be allies with Suez, and of course all who are evil are his enemies. Oh, and his sacred animal is a ferret. I have no idea why a ferret, but his followers protect good and destroy evil at all costs. Now as to Telona, that is quite a different story. Telona is also human, but that's the only thing she has in common with Suez. She is called the goddess of plague, poison, and disease. Her purpose appears to be to spread those 3 horrors everywhere she goes, in part or in full, meaning her temples are dedicated to spreading any or all of them throughout the land where they reside. I have never seen a temple of Telona and don't know anyone who has. These are merely the stories that have been passed down through generations that I have learned about through my many studies. Jack. I don't mean to interrupt, but could I get any or all of that in writing? I'm the one in our party who takes notes, he said, smiling. John. Why, of course. It would be my pleasure to share all of that in writing for the 4 silver pieces that I just paid you for these holy symbols, he said, smiling back. Jack, looking to the party for approval. I think we have a deal. Tenneth. We've decided that for now we would like to buy 2 healing potions. Do we pay you? John. No. Let one of the acolytes or adepts know what you want and pay them. I hope you find lots of treasure in your adventuring and come back and purchase more potions, as well as scrolls. I'm afraid I must leave you now, though, as I have other business to attend to. Until we meet again. John turned and walked away. They purchased the 2 healing potions and gave one to Nightwind and one to Lightmane, since they were in the front when exploring caves, and thus would be the most likely to need it. But now the Kobold Cave seemed to be calling them, so they headed back out for the Valley of Caves. Sheila, how are you feeling today? How did you sleep? Bale, I'm fine, thanks, though my sleep was filled with nightmares of evil, demon-looking goblin creatures throwing rocks at me, while an evil, demonic creature that looked like a picture I once saw of a succubus taunted me mercilessly. Sheila, wow! So now when you look at me, you see a succubus in your mind? Well, that's not good. Bale, luckily, that's not the case. But in my dream last night, yes, you were a horrid-looking succubus. Sheila, horrid? I think hot is the word you're looking for. Succubus lure their victims because of how they look. Most men can't resist, she said with luring eyes. Bale, well, this one was horrid-looking. Okay, hot too, I guess, but still horrid. Yes, hot and horrid. Bale shook his head in disgust. She had crazy green hair and glowing red eyes, as did all the goblins. Sheila, looking surprised. The goblins had crazy green hair too? Bale, yes, and it was gross and disgusting, and I couldn't get away from them, so they just kept taunting me and throwing rocks at me, and I just stood there and took it, while the succubus stared at me the entire time, mocking and ridiculing me. Sheila, yuck! Glad I didn't experience that dream with you. So you've never seen a succubus, have you? Bale, looking concerned. No, why? Are you going to show me one now? Sheila, well, I could if you want, she said, trying not to smile. Bale, no thanks. I'd rather throw up. Sheila, okay, suit yourself. But they're very beautiful to look at. As long as they can't lure you in any way, it's quite fun to have one around. Their voice is intoxicating, and their body, well, let's just say if they didn't have 2 horns coming out of their skull. Bale, looking confused. What? Sheila, what? Bale, if they didn't have 2 horns coming out of their skull. What? Sheila, oh, that. Well, I think you might be interested. That's all. Bale, still confused. Interested? Sheila, yes, interested. Bale, interested in what? Sheila, I don't know. Maybe you'd want to kiss one, she said, trying so hard to keep a straight face. Bale, sounding like he might actually be interested. Interesting. Sheila, interesting? Really? Sounding a little surprised. So you'd be interested in kissing a hot succubus demon, maybe? If it was safe, of course, she said, sounding intrigued now. Bale, sounding quite sincere. Yes, I would be. Sheila, somewhat shocked now. Wow! Well, I wasn't expecting this. Bale, it would be very interesting indeed to see her face when a dog started licking it all over with his giant tongue, he said, smiling. Sheila, looking impressed. Well played, my floppy-eared friend. Well played.